Welcome to the fourth section of Module 6. Today we move from knowing the 4 strategies to choosing responses deliberately, applying them appropriately in public online spaces. We'll set the context risk-response matrix, clarify risks to assess, define 4 criteria for choosing, examine strategies with strengths and limits, and practice selecting and combining responses. We end with a brief summary and a check for understanding. From context to choice, read the situation, weigh risks, and match the response. Responding to hate speech should not be improvised. Each narrative strategy has different effects. It can support the person targeted, educate bystanders, reduce conflict, or make things worse. The key idea is simple. The choice is never neutral. Every response changes the dynamic, so we'll focus on how to decide before we speak. Here is your decision tool. The matrix doesn't tell you what to say, it helps you decide which approach fits the situation. When unsure, come back to the grid, read the context, weigh the risks, and then match a narrative strategy. The discipline is to assess first, reply second. Before choosing any strategy, pause on 2 distinct risks. Communicative risk: could this reply worsen the confrontation, invite a pile-on, inflame tone, or spread the thread? Personal social risk: could this reply cause concrete harm, expose the person targeted, prompt doxing, or endanger someone offline? Keeping these separate keeps choices clearer and safer. Let's check the communicative risks on screen. Escalation: the response fuels the conflict and raises the tone. For example, a discussion degenerates into insults. Flame: a typical heated exchange of insults online, offensive banter under a post turns into a chain of insults. Polarization: 2 rigid sides are created, haters versus defenders, with a divided audience. Backlash: the reply triggers a stronger hostile reaction that can hit both responder and the person targeted, and attract new haters. For instance, intervening against a misogynistic post brings harsher insults and more users joining against the defender. Exclusion: the person targeted or the defender ends up alone, an empathic comment is ignored. Normalization: if the reply is ineffective or too weak, hatred may pass as acceptable, it was irony, followed by laughter and likes. Now the personal and social risks. Direct threats: the person targeted receives new threats as a consequence of the response, someone speaks out in her favor and she then receives new threats. Retaliation: those who speak become targets of hate speech, the defender is accused and publicly insulted. Coordinated attacks: organized groups mobilize against the person targeted or the defender, a raid of comments by misogynist communities. Reputational damage: attempts to discredit respondents by ridiculing or labeling them, memes or disparaging labels against the defender. Collective effects on the community: others stop exposing themselves for fear. For example, young women avoid intervening in a forum. Keep these 2 sets of risks in mind before choosing how to act. Not all hate speech needs the same move. Responding well means deciding where and how to act. Strategies exist for different aims, they shouldn't be used at random. To choose, analyze 4 elements: context, risk, audience, and communication goal. When you choose how to respond, run this quick 4-point check. First, context: where is the message? TikTok, a public post, Instagram. Platform and visibility shape impact. Second, risk: could your reply trigger escalation, targeting, or a flame war? Third, audience: who will actually read it? Friends, strangers, silent bystanders. Finally, goal: what are you trying to achieve right now? Refute a claim, support the person targeted, change perceptions, or prevent further harm? Your choice should follow these answers. Every response has consequences, for the conversation and for people involved. Now, map risks to how the strategies work and what opportunities and downsides each brings. The aim isn't improvisation, it's conscious choice about how to intervene. Each strategy carries power and limits. When you compare responses, separate two effects. Persuasive power is short-term. Can this move win readers over in the moment? Transformative power is long-term. Can it shift habits and culture when used consistently? Counter-speech challenges the message head-on with logic, data, or measured irony. It often has high persuasive power in the short run. Bystanders see the correction clearly. Its transformative power is medium. Repeated use helps, but the main risk is escalation or backlash, which can undo gains. Empathic narrative humanizes the person targeted and breaks silence. Its persuasive power is medium, especially for relationships and climate. Its transformative power is medium, but can become high when used collectively. The risk is that, if it stands alone, the most vulnerable person may remain exposed. Empathy-based counterspeech blends firmness with recognition. It offers medium-high persuasive power and medium-high transformative power, because it contests hate without raising the temperature. The risk is backlash against the responder or misunderstanding of the intent. Alternative narrative does not react to the attack, it proposes positive visions. Over time it has very high transformative power, it rewrites the frame, while its short-term persuasive power is medium. The risk is that it may look evasive and won't provide an immediate defense in a heated thread. Keep both lenses in view, what convinces readers now, and what changes the space over time, and choose with the listed risks in mind. Now let's weigh the risks for each narrative response. Counterspeech. Communicative risk, high, it can spark flame, polarization, or backlash. Risk for the responder, high, you may become a direct target. Risk for the person targeted, medium, it doesn't usually worsen things, but offers little protection on its own. Keynote, useful to dismantle hate with facts and logic, if support is in place so the responder isn't left isolated. Empathic narrative. Communicative risk, low, it rarely generates flame. Risk for the responder, medium, you might be ridiculed or targeted. Risk for the person targeted, high if isolated, they can face further derision and still lack protection. Keynote, very powerful when multiple voices join, risky if done alone. Empathy-based counterspeech. Communicative risk, medium, it reduces escalation but won't always be understood by stubborn haters. Risk for the responder, medium, possible backlash. Risk for the person targeted, medium, they remain visible, but escalation risk is lower than with straight counterspeech. Keynote, helpful in polarized contexts when the tone is firm yet respectful. Alternative narrative. Communicative risk, low, it avoids direct confrontation. Risk for the responder, low, rarely becomes a target. Risk for the person targeted, low, the attack is not the focus. Keynote, offers maximum transformative power, but less immediate protection. As you choose, pair this grid with your context, audience, risk level, and goal. Match the move to rights, audience, and safety. Run the 4 questions out loud. Where does this appear? A public post, a viral space, or a smaller community? Direct or indirect attack? How risky is it, communicatively and personally? For the person targeted and for the responder? Who are you addressing? Neutral bystanders for education and persuasion, the person targeted for support, the wider community for positive messaging. Note, the hater is often only an apparent addressee. What is the goal? Dismantle the claim, support the person targeted, slow the spread, reduce future aggression, or transform perception. Your answers point to the appropriate strategy or combination. Now test the checklist on real situations. For each case, state the context, flag risks, name your audience, and fix a single goal. Only then pick the response, so the form follows the purpose, not the other way round. Let's apply the selection criteria, row by row. Case 1. Public comment: women should stay in the kitchen, not in politics. The context is a public post with polarization. The audience to reach is neutral bystanders. The aim is to dismantle the claim, choose counterspeech with clear facts and contradiction, so neutrals don't mistake hate for a valid opinion. Case 2. Direct insult: you're a SLT. You have no right to speak here asterisk. We're under a post, with exclusion of the person targeted. The aim is visible support. Choose empathic narrative, recognize the harm, affirm the person's rights to speak and be present, show closeness so nearby bystanders can join. Case 3. Already polarized thread: feminists are destroying society. Risk: backlash, flame. Audience: neutral bystanders. Aim: prevent escalation. Use empathy-based counterspeech, firm, civil tone, acknowledge feelings, draw the line without feeding the fire. Case 4. Viral meme that normalizes exclusion: women drivers are a danger. Audience: young bystanders. Aim: transform. Choose an alternative narrative, a positive, shareable story that shifts the frame instead of reacting to the hater. Are more cases to practice choosing. 1. Viral TikTok: girls shouldn't talk about politics. Risk of polarization, and the responder may be discredited. Audience: neutral bystanders. Use counterspeech, a short line grounded in rights and one piece of evidence, so silence doesn't legitimize the message. 2. Twitch live: gamer girl equals SLT. Get out asterisk. There's exclusion and possible private threats. Defenders risk attacks in chat. Audience: the person targeted plus current bystanders. Choose empathic narrative, immediate public support, make dignity visible, no duel with the hater. 3. Public Instagram: feminists out of school assemblies. Risk of flame and social labeling of the responder. Audience: neutral students. Go with empathy-based counterspeech, recognize concerns, reject the attack, invite respectful participation, no harsh tone that fuels conflict. 4. Viral meme in youth sport: girls in sport. Back to the kitchen. Risk of normalization, ridicule towards defenders. Audience: neutral youth. Use alternative narrative, highlight real stories and achievements, reframe with a positive message that encourages participation. No single strategy works everywhere. International guidance encourages combining approaches. For instance, pair empathic narrative to support the person targeted with counterspeech to address a misleading claim, or use empathy-based counterspeech to reduce conflict, then add an alternative narrative that offers a better story people can share. Combining lets you support and educate at once, reduce exclusion or flame, and increase impact without overexposing anyone. Remember, no choice is neutral. Mix with care and keep it proportionate. Sometimes one move isn't enough. You can sequence strategies, clearly, not muddled, to protect people, lower heat, and shift the thread. First case: Discord gaming. Start with empathic narrative to the person targeted. It's tough to read comments pushing you out of the game. Then add counterspeech to the room: there are women's teams winning tournaments, talent has no gender. Empathy steadies the person, counterspeech corrects the claim in front of bystanders. Second case: public TikTok about music. Use empathy-based counterspeech, calm and firm, saying women shouldn't sing is sexist, followed by an alternative narrative: music grows when there are more voices and stories. The first reduces defensiveness, the second offers a shareable, positive frame. Third case: a viral school meme. Pair empathic narrative, that meme hurts real people, not labels, with an alternative narrative that speaks to values. A strong school is one where boys and girls respect and value each other. You humanize harm and replace the script with inclusion. Key tip: don't cram everything into one line. Keep the audience in mind and choose combinations that lower risk, center rights, and invite others to join the better story. You can now assess communicative and personal risks, apply the context risk audience goal criteria, choose and combine strategies with purpose, and analyze cases for likely impact on the person targeted, bystanders, and haters. Time to practice. You'll work through 3 realistic scenarios of misogynistic or sexist hate speech. For each, answer guiding questions, pick the strategy or combination you judge most effective, then compare with proposed solutions. This moves you from theory to application. When you're ready, leave this page and open the next one to launch Store a Play, then click the button to start. Essential references. These are the core sources behind today's section. Feel free to pause here if you'd like to note any items.